I'm so excited to share this deep dive episode with you guys. We're going to go hard into how to make a Kickstarter work. In Natalie's own words, apparently Bala wouldn't even exist without Kickstarter. So tune in to figure out how to do it, when to do it, and what's going to really make it work. Okay, we're going to talk about Kickstarter today. I feel like this is a big topic because a lot of people think about how they can raise money in the early days without having to go VC or go investor. Mm-hmm. And you did a very successful Kickstarter. So when you were thinking of launching Bala, why Kickstarter, I guess, is the first question. Like, why should someone consider this?
Well, first of all, I knew nothing about running a business. I didn't even know what raising capital meant. I didn't know what a term sheet meant. The list goes on. I knew our prototype would be about $4,000. And then from there, our first production run was going to cost $40,000. And I had barely any money. We had just finished our epic year-long sabbatical. And so I think we might have had a couple $1,000s left over. So that was used.
Oh yeah, because you guys had left your jobs.
We had left our jobs. So any money we had saved, which was not a lot, was us basically backpacking through Asia. We had a few $1,000s left, and that's what we used on the prototype. And then it was the $40,000 that we had no idea how to raise that. I don't even think I knew about raising from friends and family. Mm-hmm. So what we did know was we had heard and invested in Kickstarters before. Okay. And so we said, that doesn't seem that crazy. Let's try it. We came from advertising, so we knew how to produce a cute video and kind of sell the dream for this Kickstarter. And that's when we said, let's launch that way. Because really, I was that felt like our only option to getting $40,000.
That feels so much scarier to me than going to investors, because that's so private. You know, you're having these private conversations, and if it doesn't land, no one knows. Whereas with Kickstarter, you're really putting it out there in the world before you've really refined what your proposition is. I think you don't even have a website sometimes.
No, you don't have a product.
You don't have a product, exactly. So weren't you scared of putting this new thing out in the world?
Yes, I was so scared that I didn't even, and we might talk about this, but I didn't even post it to my own socials. I told friends, this is at the beginning. By the end of the Kickstarter, that's another story. But at the very beginning, I kind of thought sales would just come, I think. So I didn't even post it to Instagram or Facebook personally. I was embarrassed. And I don't think I knew if it was good enough, and really too scared to put myself out there. I asked friends to buy it, a handful of friends. But I didn't until the end, when we really needed to catch up on sales. Mm-hmm. That's when we said, look, we put it out here. We have to put it out in the world.
Yeah, and post it.
I still didn't post it though, but I emailed it to tons of people. Max posted it to his Instagram.
But the intention was already for it to be a business, right? You weren't just trying to make 40 grand and sell these things.
No. Yeah. I wanted it to be a business, but I think I was just crippled with fear on putting myself out there. To strangers, I think I was fine with that, but to people I know. Yeah. And that still exists to this day, you know?
If we talk about the actual, tactical elements of running a Kickstarter and a successful one, what goes into it? You kind of mentioned making the video. There's obviously, selling the kind of story and making something super snappy, but, what else is there? Is there any, momentum that has to be built? How do you organize a campaign like that?
A lot of learnings for after we did it, but what actually went into it, or so we thought, was, you create your video. And so for us, we shot it with a creative lead from the agency we were previously working at, 72 and Sunny. So he kind of did us a friend deal and just said, okay, I'll shoot this girl doing yoga with the prototype, which the prototype wasn't even weighted. So that tells you what else. People can go, you can go on Kickstarter with a concept, And for us, it kind of was, because it was just a non-weighted prototype. Yeah. But we were selling what it would become. So we went ahead and we did a video. We named the product. You did a whole write-up about yourself, a write-up about the product itself.
Did you have to do any financial forecasting and stuff like that?
No financial forecasting. And you tell them what you're spending the money on, though. So I think we said it was $40,000 for our first production run. And then you also have to set your timeline. And I think at the time it was you have 30 days or 60 days. And I think the quicker one was better because it creates urgency for the buyer.
Right.
We did the quicker one, which I believe was 30 days. And the other important thing you have to do is set your goal of the money you need. And if you don't reach that money, it goes away.
You get
in the
nothing.
time frame. No. So like at the time, maybe it changed, but at the time it was like if you said you needed $8,000 and you made $7,000, like you don't get it. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, I think we said $40,000. We ended up getting $50,000, but not really till the end. Like it was like halfway through, we didn't think we would make our goal.
Yeah.
And so we set it at $40,000. Looking back, probably should have done more like 20 so that at least you get something if you don't reach your goal.
Yeah. And you said like you didn't think you guys were going to hit your goal. What are some of the scrappy things you started doing? I mean, sharing on your own social is definitely a good start.
I know, right? I can't believe I didn't do that.
Well, that's obviously not going to take you from 20 to 40K. I don't know how rich your social media followers are, but you know, like
800 followers at that point.
Exactly. Like what kind of things did you start to do when you realized like, oh shit, this actually needs push from us?
So I want to say we were halfway through, and I had some weird stories that got us through the finish line at the end. But basically, we were halfway through and like we weren't getting as much traction, and like we had already kind of reached out to our friends. So we were like, we need to like go all at it. And so this is when we printed out postcards and we like dropped them off at, you know how you see like coffee shops that put postcards out, like that sort of thing. I'm sure no one
really
invested
you
in
did
that.
Your
but we
own,
did
like
some guerrilla marketing. We were like, we got to do some shit. So we did that. I think I like went to a few yoga studios and was like, invest in this. I emailed everyone I knew. So that's the cringy one. Is because these are people that like I had talked to in college once. These were people from like study groups. These were like people from high school. Like I was like, that's when I went real cringe with it. And I probably emailed like 500 people. Yeah. Every family member I had, like, and then followed up and was like, you got to do it, please.
That is just running a business, though, isn't it? Like, you put yourself, like, you have to be willing to be embarrassed.
You have to.
I think, like, you're going to do such cringy.
So cringe. Everything's cringe at the beginning until it starts being cool, and then it's, like, not cringe. So it's like you have to do the cringe thing first.
Yeah. And then at what point did you, like, was there one thing where you were like, oh, this flyering like really took us to the next level, or like emailing everybody I know? Like, was it kind of like a slow growth, or did you feel like there was one thing where you were like, oh, we're gonna get there, like this is really taking off?
It was a slow growth, and then it was a few like lucky breaks, which this is where I'm like, oh, all woo woo, but like if you put your like dream out there, like some woo woo shit can happen to get you to the finish line. And we had a bizarre thing happened. The show Billions. You know the show Billions?
Yeah.
So I guess it was like, it must have been an ad campaign. And we were like not going to make our finish line. We were like inching our way, snowball effect. And they ended up reaching out to us. And we were like, is this spam? I don't know. And they're like, we're with this ad agency. I forget the name of it. And we're doing promo for the show Billions. And Axelrod, I think that's Bobby, is going to like invest in like 10 Kickstarter companies, and then we'll follow up with you later and do like a campaign around it.
Yeah.
And we were like, it sounds kind of like ad agencies could do that, sort of realistic. Sure, well, here's more info.
Yeah.
And then I think they invested $5,000 into it, like the product, and didn't like even put an address to ship the product to, but just like put $5,000 in it that reached us to our finish line. And then they never followed up afterwards. So I don't know if like the idea of whatever they were doing died, but the check cleared. And that was this like,
that's
okay, the universe wants this to happen moment for us. But it was that, and it was a bunch of snowball. Like I had an ex-boyfriend that put $1,000 in it. I was like, thank you, I'll take
Max
it.
Max was like, we're not taking this money.
It was kind of like a fuck you probably to Max, but we took it.
But they're not investors, right? So like that person who put in $5,000, it doesn't matter that you never speak to them again. Like you don't need.
They like didn't get anything from it. No, nothing matters.
You just get the product.
It's a pre-sale for the product.
Yeah.
So they're not investors.
But if you put $1,000 in, you're not getting $1,000's worth of product.
No, I think there's different tiers. Oh, that's another thing you need to do at the beginning. You set tiers, and people love like they say people love like a swaggy thing. Like
Yeah.
you could be like the the person who puts $1,000 in is tier 5 and they get a custom embroidered hat and like something signed by me. Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, you can get fun with it. And then I think at the very early tiers, you did like 1 set of bangles, 2 sets of bangles, 4 sets.
Right.
And then you get like creative with what else they
Yeah.
get.
And did you have multiple colors that you were selling at this point, or is just literally like one color? This is the first run?
We did 3 colors, which are similar to our colors now. The blue is different, but we did blue, we did a pink, which is similar to our blush, and then a charcoal, which is the same.
Okay, so you did offer multiple colors.
But those were renders. Everything was like
Yeah.
a render besides our product.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
nothing was like set in stone
Yeah.
or, yeah.
And you know, when you start a company, I feel like people always say like your first customers are going to be your most loyal. Like you really have to like understand them and get the most out of them. Like definitely with Flume, some of the first people who bought from us, like over the lifetime had spent like 30 grand on flowers. Like we'd have some of these customers that were just like consistently spending money. Do you feel like those people followed through with the brand, and kind of like once you then ended up launching, like did they shout about it because they felt invested, that they like helped bring it to life?
You know, it's so interesting. We should like circle back on Bala on that and see like where those people,
Like
those
who those
backers
people
are. Yeah,
are,
because it's probably not a lot. It's probably like 100 or less.
Yeah.
A few of them I have taken note of. I remember there were early people that posted, and it was so exciting. Anytime anyone posted anything, once they start to get their product, that was a big deal. And I kind of remember a few of those.
Yeah.
I know there was one girl who I actually ended up getting on a call with because she was such a loyal customer and she still writes me notes. I'm sure some of them are still loyal. And I've heard it anecdotally, people being like, I've been with you guys since the Kickstarter days. So I think some of them definitely remember.
Yeah. And then once you've raised this money, then you have to go and make it a reality, right? So like, and then I think you promise a delivery at a certain point.
Everyone's late on that too.
But, which I think is kind of accepted.
Yeah.
But I've seen like some people never even get product out. Like how does that work?
Sure.
Like how does the logistics of it work?
And you actually forget, because I've bought Kickstarters and probably never gotten the product, and you just forget because you're like, oh, this delivers
I do that
in
with
6
anything
months
that I order online.
Yeah.
I literally have to have a running list of things that I've bought.
That's smart, but who has the time to do that?
I mean, you just do it when you're paying. Otherwise, I'm like, oh, this thing never arrived and I never got a refund.
That's good to remember.
Yeah, that's also a bad reflection on my shopping.
That is bad.
Habits.
You're gonna get that in check. So I think the logistics of it are very tough, especially if you're coming into it green and you've never shipped a product to anybody. So we were like, you know, everything was like a problem for later. Like we'll deal with how we do it, how we ship it out once we receive it. Yeah. And what we didn't think about was the international people. We didn't charge them enough shipping. So it's like we were like losing $50 an item.
Nice.
Like it was crazy. So there were a lot of operational things that were not smart.
Yeah.
We probably lost a lot of money on the shipping and we're like doing crazy rates. And then also we lived in Brooklyn at the time. So we lived in a second story. And so we were walking up, each box of Bala was like 25 pounds. And we were walking up like 60 boxes and then having to get those out. It was just very
because you were storing yourself.
Yeah, we're storing it ourselves. And then we had to get out, I think 500 units or so, which that was just tough logistically to get out. And we were super late. There was a lot that went wrong in the operational side of things. If you've ever thought about starting a company or you're already in it and figuring things out as you go, I wrote Bootstrap Empire for you. It's the real story of how we built Bala from a scrappy side hustle into a global brand, without a traditional playbook or unlimited capital. This book has the lessons and advice I wish I had from day one. Think of it as your mentor in a book format. Bootstrap Empire is out now and available on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, and more. If you're building something from scratch, this one's for you. Visit bootstrap-empire.com to learn more.
Would you say it was worth it? Like, do you think, looking back, was it worth the logistics and the operational mess? And would you do it again if you started another company?
If I start I think it's just
and it's different because you're second time founder.
Yeah, so I might
like,
know to like call somebody for a check.
Yeah,
but maybe I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd do Kickstarter again, because I think it's like it's especially great if you don't have any context to raise any money. And so I don't know that I would do it again, but I would advise other people. Like, I literally had an intro call this morning, and she was talking about this skincare brand that she's already has like samples, and she's ready, right?
Yeah.
She just needs to buy the product. And I was like, you just need to get it out there in the world. And she's like, okay, but I need to raise $200,000. And I was like, not necessarily. You can, but later. And she was like, it might take 6 months to do that. I'm like, then you're 6 months behind. Like, get a Kickstarter. I advised her to just get a Kickstarter launched, get those first products into the first hands of customers, and then from there think about raising. So I would 100% advise somebody who doesn't have like a shortcut to raising to do that, because this might be your shortcut to get it out into the world.
It also sounds like it's kind of like training wheels to like launching the company.
It is, because it's not like your perfect website.
Exactly. Like, and you want like your product in people's hands that are going to give you feedback. Like, there's so many different things.
And they want to give you that feedback.
Totally. Because they're invested. Otherwise, they wouldn't have bought them.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder what kind of a person just like sits around on Kickstarter and looks at things to buy.
I feel like it's like a hole that I could go into. But I feel like I used to be into it. There's actually so many brands that started from Kickstarter. This would be a good TikTok. Peloton. I could name a few.
Peloton started a Kickstarter?
So many that you wouldn't even know.
I definitely had a perception of Kickstarter, which was like maybe because I raised money, which was like, I don't know. I didn't want so many things to be out in the world that early on. Yeah. Which is also the opposite of my advice to people.
It was the opposite.
Yeah. Which is like, you should actually have everything out there.
Easier said than done, though, when it's not you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're scared somebody's going to steal it.
Not because I'm scared someone's going to steal it, just because like I don't like showing so much of that before it's like refined, which is literally the opposite mentality you should have.
But at the time, it's like you're so naive.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, but that's good.
It is good. But I thought it was probably good enough to be out in the world. I look back. If anyone looks at our Kickstarter, it's probably so bad.
Yeah, no, you're like trying to take
like
it down.
The video was like, ooh, slow jazz.
I'm gonna go find this for sure. Okay, do you think that the company would exist if you hadn't done it?
No, it wouldn't exist, because we would have had too many moments of friends, family, raising money. Like, we would have just we would have known nothing about raising money.
Yeah.
And we would have not wanted to raise $40,000 worth of money. And also, we would have given away a lot of the company. I probably would have valued the company at $100,000.
Yeah.
You know? So I just don't think the company would have existed if not for. And I thought of another cringe thing we did.
Oh my God, yeah.
So the model was a yoga teacher, and I think we paid her like a pretty good rate to do the video, and we begged her to post it, and I probably followed up with, and she clearly like wasn't posting it because she didn't want to. She was kind of an influencer, maybe like 30,000 followers. She wouldn't post it, and we just kept following up.
Did she eventually?
Like 8 times. I would never do that today. No, she never posted it. She might use Bala now, though. Who knows?
I know. She probably that's probably her like story to success.
She probably doesn't remember that it was the
first
same
Bala
brand.
model.
She probably doesn't even remember it was the same brand.
What did it teach you about building community that you think you can share? Because you guys, I think, are really at the forefront of understanding like how to speak to your community and build one.
Thank you.
So
it taught me about building community. It taught that like every voice matters, especially early voices. Yeah. And so like listen to the feedback, like truly, I mean, especially early on, listen to the feedback, get people like excited, like more colors dropping. Like those were key things we learned, collabs, things like that. And then just like start that relationship with your customer. And it can be from the founder level or the customer service person, but start that relationship.
Yeah. I think people mistake, I think, what's that quote? Like, do things that don't scale early on. Have you heard that?
No.
Where you're meant to do things that you could never do if you were a big company. So like I emailed back the first 1,000 customers and asked if I could call them and ask about their experience.
You called
I called 1,000 or emailed 1,000 people to be like,
that's absurd.
I just wanted to know, like, how did you like it? What was good? What was bad? And I think that mentality is really hard to carry through as you've built a company, because then you like hire teams and you become so much more like, okay, now it's my job to actually offboard, not to do 1,000 fucking phone calls. But it's so true in the beginning for community, like doing those things is what makes the biggest difference.
That is true. And I think that is why you should do customer service. That's a good example of you should do customer service. I think a lot of people have to by necessity. Yeah. And I did for 2, maybe even 3 years on Bala, like the only person responding to customers. But you just learn your customer so well that way that like maybe even if you have the luxury of not doing it, you maybe should answer 10 tickets a day in Gorgeous or whatever, because I feel like I know our person so well. Yeah. And so I think that's crazy. And that's also crazy. You called 1,000 people or called or emailed.
Honestly, I just
for feedback.
I also like loved it in the beginning.
I did too.
You know, like when someone would email you back and be like, oh yeah, I used it. This is how I found it. And this is what I liked or didn't like. Yeah. Like that was so much more fun than like hanging out with friends.
I loved it. And I also did all the DMs for probably 4 years. But basically I loved it. But it's also like anytime they were mean, I was like, so personally offended.
I wasn't that sensitive about things, but I also had like all of the orders on my Apple Watch come up every single time an order came through for like the first 5 years.
That's not okay. That probably made your brain
I know. I eventually was like, this is too much. Now I don't even have like email notifications on my phone.
Oh no. Why would you? That'd be insane. I don't even have Shopify on my phone or Amazon, but I check it on desktop. But I'm just saying not having it on my phone. Yeah. But I turned off notifications a while ago. That would be not good for you.
I was a bit psycho. It was the time of like burnout is cool though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Burnout's not cool anymore.
No. That was so valuable, Natalie.
Wow.
I think a lot of people will be able to use this if they want to go on a Kickstarter. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.